You know that feeling, right? You pick up your phone just to check one little thing, and then boom, 45 minutes have vanished, and you kind of snap out of this trance, not even sure what you were looking for. Well, if that sounds familiar. You are definitely not alone, and I'm here to tell you it is not an accident. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the design, the psychology, and the neuroscience that makes your phone so hard to put down. Let's get right into it.
And this isn't just some random idea. This powerful statement comes from Tristan Harris, a guy who used to be a product manager at Google. He says this isn't just a clever metaphor, it's literally how the apps you use every single day are designed to work. Think about it. Every time you pull down to refresh your feed, you are, for all intents and purposes, pulling the lever of a slot machine.
So, how many times a day are we actually pulling that lever? Well, get ready for this. According to research from behavioral scientist Dr. Arthur Brooks, the average person checks their phone a whopping 205 times a day. And let's be real, that's not a conscious choice you're making over and over. It's a habit, a compulsion really, that's been carefully baked right into our lives. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll dive into the psychology of that slot machine in your pocket. Then, we'll expose the secret playbook they use to engineer it. After that, we'll look at what's actually happening inside your brain. And most importantly, we'll finish with a toolkit to help you take back control. All right, section 1. Let's talk about that slot machine in your pocket. What is it that makes this design so sticky, so powerful? Well, it all comes down to a classic psychological trick, one that's been supercharged for the digital age. And I really want to be clear about this. This is not about you having a lack of willpower. It's all about the design. The magic ingredient here is something called intermittent reinforcement, or variable rewards. A psychologist named B.F. Skinner discovered this decades ago. He found that pigeons would peck a lever most obsessively, not when they got a treat every time, but when the treat was random and unpredictable. Sound familiar? Sometimes you get a like, sometimes you see a shocking headline, and sometimes nothing. That uncertainty is the secret sauce that keeps you coming back for more. And again, none of this is happening by accident. It is the result of a very deliberate playbook, one designed specifically to create habits and maximize what the tech industry calls time on device.
At the very heart of this playbook is something called the compulsion loop. This is basically a cycle of behavior that's engineered to make your brain release rewarding little chemicals, like dopamine. It's a feedback loop that is incredibly hard to break once you're in it. It's the very thing that turns someone who just casually checks an app into a habitual, can't-stop user.
So how do they build it? Most of them use a 4-step framework called the hook model. It goes like this. Step 1 is a trigger, that little buzz in your pocket. That leads to an action. You open the app. Then comes the variable reward, the unpredictable mix of posts and videos you find. And finally, investment. You like something, leave a comment or post, which loads the next trigger and makes you that much more likely to come back. Now, these variable rewards are so crazy effective because they tap into our deepest human desires. There are rewards of the tribe. That's our need for social connection, things like likes, comments, and new followers. Then you've got rewards of the hunt, our drive to find information, which is fed by endless news feeds and clickbait headlines. And finally, there are rewards of the self, our need to feel competent and accomplished, like clearing your notifications or reaching inbox zero. And that brings us to that final, crucial step, investment. This part is so important. When you put in a little bit of work, you upload a photo, you customize your profile, you follow some new accounts, you're building up social capital. You're personalizing the service. This makes the product feel more valuable to you, which makes it harder to leave. And of course, it gives the algorithm more data to make the next hook even more irresistible.
Okay, so we've seen the psychology and we've seen the design playbook. But what is actually going on inside your head when you're caught in this loop? This is where things get really fascinating. We're talking about a biological hijack.
Now, most of us have heard of dopamine, and we usually think of it as the pleasure molecule. But that's not quite right. Modern neuroscience shows it's really the anticipation molecule. It's not about the feeling of getting the reward. It's about that restless, relentless drive to pursue the reward. It's the engine of wanting. And this gets to a really critical difference in how our brains work. There's a wanting system and a liking system. Liking is the actual pleasure you get from something. Wanting is the craving, and it's driven by dopamine. This distinction explains everything. It's why you can find yourself scrolling for an hour, feeling more and more empty and dissatisfied. Your wanting system has been hijacked, and it's an overdrive, even when your liking system is getting absolutely nothing out of the deal. So what's the long-term result? The cumulative effect of all this constant stimulation is a state that researchers have actually started calling algorithmic exhaustion. It's that feeling of being totally depleted, cognitively and emotionally. It's caused by information overload. From those infinite feeds, the social anxiety from the fear of missing out or FOMO, and just the simple mental fatigue that comes from trying to process an endless stream of content that has no natural stopping point.
Okay, so that's the problem. And it's a big one, by design. But the good news is, once you understand the mechanics, you can start to dismantle them. So now we're going to shift gears and walk through a science-backed, actionable toolkit for reclaiming your attention and your time.
This framework comes directly from Dr. Arthur Brooks, and it's based on a ton of research into breaking addictive behaviors. There are 5 really clear steps you can take, and the goal isn't to get rid of technology, but to moderate it so that it serves you, not the other way around. First up, create tech-free times. The first hour of your day is so important for setting your intentions without digital noise. The last hour before bed is absolutely crucial for your sleep quality. And meal times? Those are for real, actual human connection. You have to protect these periods ruthlessly. Just as important as time is space. Create physical zones where tech just isn't allowed. And the number one zone you need to protect is your bedroom. Your phone's blue light messes with your sleep, and the content can stir up stress right when you need to be winding down. Seriously, get an old school alarm clock and charge your phone in another room.
Now, beyond these daily boundaries, taking longer breaks can be a game changer. Dr. Brooks recommends taking at least one 4-day digital detox every year. The first day or so might feel a little weird as your brain craves that stimulation, but by day 3 or 4, you'll start to feel this sense of peace and clarity that really helps reset your whole system. The real goal here is to shift from that automatic, mindless use to conscious, purposeful use. So before you pick up your phone, just ask yourself, what am I going to do right now? Why am I opening this? Don't use it as a pacifier for boredom. Use it like a tool to accomplish a specific task, and then put it down. This last step might be one of the simplest, but it's also one of the most powerful. Turn off your notifications, at least all the non-essential ones. Every buzz, ding, and little red dot is an external trigger designed to pull you right back into that compulsion loop. By turning them off, you break the chain. You decide when to check your phone, not the other way around.
And hey, want a few more quick tips you can do right now? Try these. Set timers on your most used apps. Just having it interrupt you can break the trance. Move your most addictive apps off your home screen and bury them in a folder. That little bit of extra effort makes you pause and think. And a really cool one? Try turning your screen to grayscale. A black and white screen is way less exciting to our brains. You know, in the end, it really all boils down to this one question. These technologies are incredible tools, there's no doubt about it, but they have been designed to exploit our psychological weak spots for profit. By understanding the playbook and taking these intentional steps, you can flip the script. You can put that slot machine back in its place, and you can make sure your technology is a tool that serves your goals, not a master that demands your attention.